Hello, everybody. Guess what time it is? It is all American canner time. That is right. So let's get going. Hello, everybody. Marlene, aka SnowGardener307, and we are here because I've started the canning process. Now, what I mean by starting the canning process is I ordered my all-American canner. Well, I saved up for my All-American canner. If you watch my budgeting channel, I ordered my All-American canner. I got my All-American canner and I unboxed it and I didn't think about filming it. And then my canner sat on the counter for day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. I don't know how many days, a couple weeks, right? Life has been busy, but have you ever been so excited for something but terrified at the same time? That was me with my All-American canner. So I went ahead and planned to, I was going to start canning today, but then I read the directions and all of that. And they're like, you should test it out first, make sure it works. And I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. So today was the test run. I went ahead and set everything up and I went ahead and filmed it for you guys. So let's go ahead and jump in. All right, everybody. So the first thing was to get the extra components out. And so, of course, they gave me the weight along with 2 of the canning racks. You guys, I'm new to the canning world, so I don't know the exact names. They gave you 2 racks, 1 to go on the bottom, 1 so you can stack. And a lot of All-American canners get taller and taller so that you can do more stacking. Mine, I'm not sure of the capabilities of it. I'm not sure if I'll be able to stack the pint jars on top of each other or not, but it's going to work absolutely fine. So I'm just going to go ahead and get everything washed up. I had already washed my sink. I'd already washed my counters, done all of that because I thought I was going to can today. Like I told you guys, I thought today was the day, but no, it wasn't. So getting everything washed up. And one thing, when you wash the lid to your canner, it does give you a warning, and I'm going to show you here in just a minute, to not get the pressure gauge, right? The pressure gauge, don't submerge that in water. So you'll see here that I just kind of give it a quick wash and a little bit of a scrub. Now, one thing that I shouldn't have done, and this is my bad, you know, nobody's bad but my own, is that I shouldn't have used the green scrubby part on my sponge. I grabbed out a brand new sponge. So if you're a sponge hater, join the world, right? No hate here. Brand new sponge, but that was a little bit too rough for that aluminum. So I do have a little bit of scratches. I mean, we all know that this canner, if the way that things go that I want them to go, then this canner is going to see a lot of use. So I'm sure it's going to have scratches and all of that type of stuff. But I'm just going to wash the base very quickly, get it all washed. You want to make sure that you get the oils off. And they also say that when you're washing it, to be careful of the sealing edge. So you want to make sure you don't scrub anything on there. And then with the All-American canner, they do say that after you use it for a while, that the oil that you use can kind of get goopy and stuff. So they give you directions on how to clean that. So if that happens, make sure that you check out your American canner, All-American Canner book, or go online, because how many of us actually save the book nowadays? Not me, right? So I'm going to go ahead and dry it. I know that seems kind of silly. We're going to fill it with water, but I didn't want all the water on the outside and everything to go all over my stove. So I'm going to go ahead and dry it, and then we're going to go ahead and get it taken to the stove, and we're going to get this test run started. If you're wondering why I'm doing a voiceover like this, it's because my new phone has some interesting issues. Here we go. So we're at the stove. I'm going to go ahead and get some water in there. I decided to make things a little bit faster. I went ahead and used my electric tea kettle. So I filled that up once, but I noticed that it did not put near enough water. And one thing that the All-American canner said was that you do not want to run your canner dry. So I just went ahead and grabbed some hot water out of my sink and added a little bit more water into it that way. Then you've got to get your lid on. And of course, you'll see that there is the arrow, and I pointed it to you guys, and then I'm going to go ahead and close it. And we're going to do opposite sides, and then you go ahead and get them as tight as you can. I did read the book, and it says that you cannot tighten these down too much. You just want to make sure that you are doing the 2 opposites at the same time. Another thing that I figured out while doing my second canning run, which I'll talk about a little bit later, why I did too, is that you've got to make sure that that canner lid is level, right? Because if not, you're not going to get a good seal. So there's my canner all closed up. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat on. And I am very fortunate. I believe that we have a gas stove, so it's a lot easier to control. Here, you can hear the steam coming out. So now we need to set a timer for 10 minutes. And we need to let that run for 10 minutes before we add our weight on. So our 10 minutes is almost over. We're going to go ahead and add our weight. I live at 7,200 feet, so I will can everything at 15 pounds of pressure. So you can see we've got the weight right there. We're going to put it on for 15 minutes, and then we wait for it to start to jiggle. You can hear that it's starting to jiggle now. If you look at my gauge, it's not quite to 15 pounds, but it's really close. And that is one thing that when I read online, it says that listen to the weight over the gauge. So now it's just let's find the perfect temperature to get the gauge to be wiggling where it needs to be. And so you can see there it shows 15 pounds, but as I lower the heat and I get the gauge to wiggle 1 to 4 times like it's supposed to, I find that the temperature or the gauge shows a little bit less. All right, now we turned the canner off and we waited for it to get all the way down to 0. We're going to go ahead and pull that weight off and open the canner up after 2 minutes. So you pull the weight off, you wait 2 minutes, and of course, if only time really went this fast, right? In the real world, wouldn't that be wonderful? We are going to speed our time up here because that's what we can do with the magic of YouTube, right? It's kind of like we used to say the magic of TV. Now it's the magic of YouTube. So after 2 minutes, we're going to go ahead and open up our canner. And this, of course, is just a safety measure because you guys know you always want to be safe when you are canning. And I think for me, that might have been one reason why it was a little scary. So there's our timer. And when you take your canner apart, you just start, and for me it was pretty tight. You can see here I struggled a little bit, and then I always struggle with knowing which direction to turn things. And yes, I know righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, I know this stuff, but I still like to struggle. And so we're just going to go ahead and get all of these off, and we're going to open our canner, and if we had something in there, we would be checking and seeing how it was done and keeping our fingers crossed. I just lift it off, twist it a little bit. Everything looks okay. Obviously, there's nothing in there because it's just a test run. So we are ready. I feel much better now after practicing with it a couple times. I did a couple things wrong because I was so excited. So the first time that I tested it, I didn't let the steam run for 10 minutes. And I went ahead and put the weight on it. And then I read the directions and I went, you're supposed to read all of the directions and pay attention to the directions. So I went ahead and did it twice today to figure it out, to see, and it's an empty canner, but kind of to give me a time range, stuff like that. So tomorrow I'm going to start my canning process. Now I do work tomorrow, and I reached out to my friend, Cynthia. She's got 2 channels, Our Big's Adventure and The Big's Prep. And so I reached out to her and I'm like, how long does the process take you? So we'll see how it goes tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and film it. And if the cans aren't ready to come out before I go to work, then Mr. SnowGardener307 is going to take care of them and he's going to film it, but I don't know what's going to happen. So it just is going to be one of those things. Well, what do you guys think? It wasn't too scary. I mean, I figured it out. Like I said, I made some mistakes, but I'm excited because I've now at least practiced with it a couple times, and we're going to go live. Well, we're going to start canning tomorrow. We're starting with beef because I have a big hunk of beef. I don't even know what kind it is. It's a roast that was in the freezer. So we're going to get that canned up. That's what we're starting with. I just watched an amazing collab with a whole bunch of people that was featured on Mennonite Farmhouse. Leanne is the one that did the collab. So if you guys are interested in canning, go check out her channel along with all of the other collab videos. I think there were 18 total videos. I binge watched those last night while I was at work. Some amazing things. So that is it for me today. Thanks for joining me in the beginning of this fun adventure, this canning adventure. And if you are like me and hesitant to start, or maybe a little bit terrified, I'm here to show you what I've done, and hopefully you'll learn from me, and hopefully you'll be willing to take the jump by yourself. All right, everybody, remember, until I see you guys next time, keep on smiling. Bye, everybody.
The sun